Welcome back, everyone. My name is Dark Phantom, or phantom567459, and we're going to be doing Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back on Game Boy, or specifically the Game Boy Player. This game is 100% accurate to the movie. There's no differences, and we're not going to make fun of it half of the time. The reason we have to specify the port is that there is some significant differences between this and the NES port. So I will talk about them as I go along, but basically we're going to walk through episode 5 on the Game Boy. And I'm going to go ahead and restart my console. And the timer will start once the first level loads. So this game has no save feature. So we have to play through this entire game in one sitting if we want to do it. So we start off here on our beloved Tauntaun. Han's gonna tell us, oh dude, there's some Imperial activity around here. I don't remember if that's exactly what he says, but it's close enough. So what we're gonna do is we're going to investigate it further. But to investigate it further, we've got to go into some caves here. Now, I make this joke a lot. The first part of this level is basically an auto-scroller. There's a little bit of movement, but I have such freedom because I have like 20 seconds to do whatever I want. Oh. And that's why it's important to have that extra 20 seconds. So we gotta maneuver around here, around these Wampas just a little bit. We try to avoid them when we can, but it's usually just easier to kill them. And so if you're unfamiliar with this game, a lot of it is pretty maze-like. Eventually we do work our way all the way to the right side of the level almost the entire time, unless there's a separate trigger. But we have to take a convoluted way to get there. This route is pretty cool overall. We're pretty efficient with what we do. So now we have to wait for this platform. This is the first big difference between the NES version and this version, is that if you hit these platforms, you can actually just jump. You can jump through them. They do a whole lot more damage on the Game Boy version. And this is going to be our first big platforming section. We've got to take several platforms up here. And I don't know if this is the most efficient way or not, but this is the way I've been doing it recently, and it's worked out well. You do have to be really careful about hitting too many enemies on the way up. You actually do kind of have a bailout here, because you can eat these things for extra health if you need it. I don't. Because you have to have enough health to get through this Wampa, which is really the first boss that we're hitting, but we can heal up right here. And look at that. It's a kid, there's a meteor that struck nearby. Go check it out. And we know that it's probably a probe droid because we've all watched the movie before, right? This game starts off pretty innocuous, honestly. The movement is kind of confusing to get to where we need to go. And if we would accidentally fall here, it would really suck. So, the hardest part of this level is, well, pretty much over. The platforming can be annoying. We do have to boost jump over this. I actually don't know the intended route if you end up destroying too many of those. Like, you may just have to reset the level, which would be about par for the course for this game, honestly. So we gotta destroy this silly probe droid. Now, you may be saying, if you ever played this game before, or even if not, like, Phantom, you picked up a lightsaber, why aren't you using it? Well, it just happens to be stupid to use the lightsaber here. It's really hard to get some decent hits in with the lightsaber. And as much as you see that the bullets are flashing out of existence, I am getting hits. You can see on the health bar there. Just too many things flashing on the screen at one time. But basically, we mash the B button until we kill this guy. And we just keep maneuvering our Tauntaun around so that we don't take too much damage. Losing the Tauntaun here is not like the worst thing in the world, but it can definitely slow you down a little bit. And so that is level 1. And you may be wondering, very briefly, like, hey Phantom, why couldn't you just run by it? Well, the end of the level is locked until you kill that probe droid. Now on to level 2, which is our required snowspeeder level. And you'll notice that there's 6 AT-ATs, but they only give you 3 harpoons. So what we have to do is we take our speeder really low, and if you follow this line right here, you have a little bit of give. You're not going to take any damage. They just don't hit you. If you're too far above it or too far below it, you'll take damage. So now, this is the first instance of us using the lightsaber. If you don't have the lightsaber, that doesn't work. I know, because I tried. This game is basically, it's not unbeatable without the lightsaber. Actually, I don't know if you can beat the final levels without it. But there's basically a hard cap on level 2. Like, you don't have a lightsaber? I guess you're not beating this game. So once again, we take our snowspeeder extremely low. And we're not gonna get hit. We fire our last harpoon at this guy. And then we just fly along peacefully to our next AT-AT. We look over at the Mountain Dew Mountains. We're like, oh boy, this is great. So because I am using a Game Boy player, it is using the Game Boy Color palette instead of the black and white you might see on a normal Game Boy. Doesn't really bother me that much, but I do think it's funny that everything is green on Hoth. So now we're inside the Rebel base, and this level probably kills most of my runs. As we open up the level here, we're actually going to take the only purposeful death in this entire run, and it's because we have to go out of the way to get the Super Saber. The Super Saber is going to be extremely useful in this level and for the rest of the run. And it's worth it to go so far out of the way to get it. So we're gonna see if I can hit this cute little trick here after I pick up the Super Saber. We get a nice message from Ben. This is not a bootleg, this is an official game. Alright, so this is our first death warp. We do get to keep all of our items whenever we die. So that's nice. We do have to talk to R2 again, but instead of going up, we are going to go across and down. So I like to take a little bunny hop here, because yeah, those guys always spawn in right there, and we do need to manage our health for the rest of this level. I have health pickups I can pick up across the map, but as far as going fast, you really want to avoid picking up any health pickups. So Hanna is going to tell us there's an Imperial Walker nearby with no one in it. We should get it. I would agree. They are much faster than walking on foot. And if I just showed you a picture of this, would you really believe it's an AT-ST? I don't know. You tell me. Alright, so when we get out, it explodes. But it's done its job. We've made it over here. And that's actually a cute little maneuver that I came up with myself, kind of. If you move far enough off the screen, that guy will spawn in, but when he tries to shoot, he doesn't shoot on screen. So you don't take any damage there. And as far as managing your damage, that's important. So we're waiting here for this auto-scroller, and I almost missed it. One of the hardest things to get in this game is the wonky platforming. You slide a lot more than what you expect. And this one actually makes it even more difficult by having, you know, you get on here, but there's these electrical fields that are going up and down. I just like to shoot them and destroy them. but you have to aim down. Alright, good stuff. So the next section of this level... Oh, missed a jump. R2 is going to tell us, dude, Luke, or Leia's going to send us a message through R2 that says, Luke, you can't cross this on foot. You got to figure out what to do. Actually, so what's funny here is there's actually 2 different ways to do that jump. I did the safe way. Because I took a couple extra steps. All these spawns are driven by how many steps you've taken, the time you've been in the level, that kind of thing. So I got really good spawns there, but it was because I lost time earlier. So to cross where R2 is saying we need to cross, we gotta take out this ATSC. And I'm a little bit disappointed because I think we're actually gonna drop a pass here. We will try not to, but this ATST, you lose 20 seconds if you don't kill it on the correct pass. And I am unoptimistic of my chances, but we'll try. Oh, that sucks. I almost got it. We're just gonna wait for him to come back. You don't want to kill him too far over because there is an electrical field there. Yeah, if I had gotten about 5 more shots in, I would have been okay. But anyway, so that was about a 15 to 20 second time loss there, but in the grand scheme of things, we're still in a pretty good spot. So now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna skip the R2 message by going up above here. But we are gonna cross this electrical field, which the funny thing is I believe on the NES version, you can just walk across it. It insta-kills you in the Game Boy version. So that is one big change. You do have to go get the ATSD. We got a couple guys in turrets here now. They're gonna hit us for some extra damage. We wanna go down here, but we're actually gonna go out of the way because there's actually the second, well, I would say this is one of our second most used force power. I actually don't know which one is used the most. We have 3 core force powers for this entire run. So we have the Super Blaster, which when it hits is a 1-hit kill, which is nice because unlike the lightsaber, if you just swing, you lose force power. But with this, you just have to hit. And that is the end of Hoth. That is the end of level 3. So now we're gonna go off to Dagobah, and we're gonna go find Jedi Master Yoda. He's gonna teach us the ways of the Force. I honestly really like this level. There's a lot of good platforming. There's not a lot of, gross fights. And as long as you know where the enemies are, like, I know that there's a worm gonna come out here and attack me. We have to take this jump here because of this blob thing. I don't know what this blob thing is supposed to be, but it's annoying. We're gonna take the fast hit there. We'll take some damage from the spider. We have enough to work with on this level that we can take some damage. So, as we work our way up here, there's another one of these bat things. I think they have a name. And I missed it the first try, but... So now we're gonna navigate over here, and we're gonna go up. And these crawlers, we just have to kind of avoid them. That jump can be really annoying if you forget that they're there. And we gotta grab this force pack here. Don't forget that. We have this giant wasp waiting to attack us. And now, we get to be Tarzan. Oh, that's not good. That's actually really bad. I could go for a death right about now. Am I really at the beginning of the level? So. That's what happens if you miss that jump there. And that's gonna lose us about 3 minutes. And this is why you give generous estimates at marathons, because now we get to see this all again. And I actually have to manage my damage a little bit. But at least I don't have to kill some of these guys again. But you guys get to see this great movement again. I can't believe I missed that. So there was actually a small optimization in the route where if I hit it low, I can land right on the edge of the platform I need to be on. As such, though, I missed that, and now we've got to go all the way back up here. On the bright side, you guys get to hear the great soundtrack again. So we're gonna wait a second here because I just saw it cross. There we go. Oh, oh. So we're gonna take this nice and safe and actually make it. Now we're just gonna watch out for these sand things that might spawn here. Oh, okay, we finished the level. We lost some time there, but now we're back on track. So this level initially is, without watching a speedrun, you might be like, oh, really? You can make that jump? This jump actually shaves off a couple of spawns here and makes it extremely easy to get to the next section of the level, where we will once again sit on our lovely platforms. If you don't skip those enemies, the jumps then become extremely tricky. And in the grand scheme of things, with this many tricky jumps, we'd rather not. The less tricky jumps you could have, the better. This one is annoying because we're gonna jump here, and then we're gonna jump over, and then we're gonna jump up, and we're gonna avoid the worm. We're gonna avoid the worm. And then we got a second worm right here. And now we're gonna head into the caves. And to start this, we have plenty of force, so I'm gonna go ahead and use the super blaster to clear off a bunch of these spiders to make it a little bit easier. We have a bigger spider here, so we don't want to take too much damage this time. And we have a couple smaller spiders, giant spiders, and bugs. That's Dagobah for you. And about how can you make it to the next section without getting stun locked. So we're gonna drop down here. This is very important because we will get the most important force power in the entire game here. It's defended by this guardian spider, which is the same as all the other spiders, but this one actually, you know, has an important job in which he defends flight. Now, I'm sure you all remember Luke Skywalker learning how to fly on Dagobah. He's gonna use this the rest of the game. Oh, nice. I have messed up this movement the last couple runs I've done, so having that workout is nice. So if you need extra health, you can go ahead and hit up that guy for extra health. And now we have a giant chasm here that we're just gonna jump across. And there's our boy Yoda. He said, "Brave a Jedi must be." Well, I'm gonna be brave and jump over Darth. Because he's not a required enemy. And we're gonna head straight to the end of the level. Luke, help us! Alright, Yo-Yo, I made it through your training. Now what? Well, my friends are in trouble, so now we're gonna go to Cloud City. And I'm certain that I remember Vader saying, you know, let me land, but apparently his troops never got the message. So we gotta destroy some cloud cars and TIE fighters to be able to land. It's pretty random. I was musing recently whether or not I could figure out any RNG pattern to it, but it's okay. So now we're actually on Cloud City. This level is entertaining, but can be extremely frustrating for a new player. So we're gonna get here, and Lando's gonna say, R2-D2's gonna shut off these beams for you. So, in the NES version, you could just walk through these. I beat R2 to it. Well, no better time to demonstrate than that. What happens when you run into those beams, and R2's not exactly on it. That was honestly perfect. I wasn't attempting to do that. So we usually get as close to these beams as we can, and I apparently waited too long for R2 again. Just so you guys know, you only have like 6 lives for the whole game, and I skipped the only extra lives we have. If there is no, we're not gonna lose. If any of you were worried about me dying twice, I'm just gonna roll through here and... yeah, see? Just get through here the first frame that R2 gets here, and you're fine. So R2 lets us through those beams. That is a common theme in this level. There aren't really a ton of enemies to speak of on this level. I'm actually kind of disappointed because I route out the most iconic enemy on the level. But, I mean, I guess there's these guys. So we've got bounty hunters now. Bounty hunters are kind of annoying. They roll a lot. Oh no, oh, don't do that. That is a tight window. That is an extremely tight window, and I missed that jump. So that's really where I wanted to conserve my death for. But apparently not today. Let's do the laser warp again. I feel bad. Those lasers usually aren't a problem, but they are a problem apparently when I'm nervous. So I'm just gonna let R2 do his thing, and then we're gonna once again jump over this bounty hunter. This isn't even the hardest part of this level. So, if you miss the timing on that jump, you then have to wait for R2 to make it all the way to the end down here. And come back. It's not fun. So we have plenty more bounty hunters here. I'm actually surprised I didn't take any damage. Not that we're really conserving health on this level. But what we're going to do is, instead of killing these guys, we're just going to jump over them. Not really that big of a deal. They're a much bigger deal on the return trip. What's that, Phantom? There's a return trip? Yeah, actually, we wanted to go left at that intersection where I dropped down earlier, but I couldn't because there's a big old laser beam. So, how do we get back there, you might ask? Well, we have our old friend, the ATST. And we're gonna go ahead and activate our super blaster here. And I find it amusing every time. The boss music starts here, the boss music ends, and then the ATST comes on screen. And we're just gonna yeet it into the abyss with all the force that we have. And the timings on this are pretty tight, so if you're not getting down here at this certain point in the level, you have to wait for the elevators. But because of when we hit this, we can go ahead and we can jump on this elevator and ride it. And we even have elevator music to go with it. So, we're gonna take that timing there pretty quickly because we gotta hit this elevator. We're not really concerned about that dude in the turret there. Nice, okay. I am willing to play this safe and kill those guys because I have lost runs to that. Yeah. So, if they're not in the correct spot, they do a ton of damage. They do way more damage by you touching them than their actual blaster. So we got some good RNG there. And this guy can walk straight through the laser beams. No R2-D2 needed. Or electric walls. Now, we are going to stop and kill this guy on purpose for a very specific reason. Because he drops full health and full force, which we're gonna need. The full force part specifically. The full health we don't actually need because there's actually a health pickup on our way. But there's no force pickups from here to the end of the level. Yeah, we remember where Luke piloted an ATST. I sure do. So that jump is nice. You skip having to fight that guy. And now we're gonna go straight across here. Now, this part I'm extremely proud of because I found it in routing. There's a trigger here for Boba Fett, similar to level 1. However, if we go over the top of the trigger, Boba Fett doesn't spawn, and we could just walk to the end of the level. Because the game's not smart enough to stop us. So now, Luke is gonna hop in his X-Wing and take down Boba Fett. I mean, I remember when this happened in the movie. Luke got in his X-Wing and took down Boba Fett. Seems legit to me. So we're trying to stay at a point where we won't take damage from Boba's big bombs. That was actually much closer than I had hoped it would be. So we saved Han Solo. And he's like, hey kid, we gotta go find Leia, she's in trouble. Alright, I'll go find Leia. Nice. That jump can be a little bit tricky. I've actually gotten stun locked by those bounty hunters before. If they hit you with a blaster, it turns off flight, and it's the worst mechanic in this game. We might actually see it coming up here. But that one, you likely die if they stop you from flying. Okay, so he didn't hit me. Oh, oops. Actually, I don't need to fly here now. So we're gonna navigate the entire maze all the way back to here. And Luke, use the Force. Oh, well, why, Ben? What am I supposed to do? Well, I like to call this level Force Flying Simulator. We're just gonna fly over every single one of these bounty hunters, of which there are many. Dude, the Empire wasn't playing around. They hired a ton of bounty hunters to try and stop us from saving Princess Leia and Han Solo, and they didn't even succeed. There's still a bunch of bounty hunters below us, by the way, in case you were wondering. Watch out, Luke! It's a trap! Vader's here! Well, okay, said Luke Skywalker. And now we're on the final level. I'm gonna play this extremely safe. There's a safe strat here where I'm gonna come pick up this Force pack, and then I'm gonna fall. It costs you a couple seconds. Since we've already lost some time in different places, I'm okay with that. And basically, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna navigate around these there's many Darth Vaders in this level. There's one. There's two. I should have left flying on, but we're gonna pick up this Force pack here. Gonna avoid Darth number 2. I don't know if we'll see Darth number 3 here. I'll try and get a view of him. There he is. There's Darth number 3. I don't know why he's climbing up and throwing his lightsaber at you or whatever that is, but he's doing it. So I've been trying to route out this Force pack here for a while, but for the purposes of this, we haven't gotten there yet. So we're just gonna fly through this whole section. By the way, if you hit those spikes that I just narrowly avoided, those are instant death. These Tarzan violins get kind of glitchy. I'm just gonna fly over this here. They get really glitchy on this level, and I don't know why. I don't think I actually need to fly here. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is come down here. I almost died here in my PB run by not turning on flight. But anyway, you fly over these stormtroopers. Yoda's gonna say, Luke, use the Force. Well, good thing I already am to get over those guys. So, because I've been excessively wasteful with Force powers here, I'm gonna go ahead and grab this. And we're going to jump over yet another Darth. So there is a Darth behind me. We may or may not see him. I was not intending to use flight here, but I have enough extra Force power that it does not matter. So we gotta go far enough here to trigger Darth. And we're gonna go ahead and lure him all the way over here. At which point, we will turn on the Super Saber. And time is coming up now. And thus, Luke Skywalker defeated Darth Vader and saved all his friends, and there is no reason for us to go have a next movie. This time you've defeated me, but next time you'll not be as lucky. It is our destiny to meet again. And that's it. It gives this nice ending cutscene. This game, the reason I started running it was because it was a game I had as a child and I never beat it. And I had this inspiration, I don't know, 9-10 months ago to finally beat it after watching some other runs of it. And so now finally we're we're able to beat it pretty consistently. I don't know where those multiple deaths on Bespin came from, but they were at least a good demonstration of what can go wrong. So that's it for me. By the way, guys, if you beat the game, instead of having anything interesting to do, well, the Force will be with you always. It sends you right back to the beginning. Good game. With nothing. So you have to start all over. Alright, let me, I think that's pretty much it. I didn't get to explain, I'll explain one short thing. So, on the very first level, remember that, the Imperial Probe Droid? The Imperial Probe Droid and Boba Fett use the same boss strategy, or use the same boss code. And once you hit them, it turns off the end of the level, the trigger to end the level. I really tried for a long time to figure out how to skip the first boss, and you just can't do it. If you could fly in level 1, you could skip that and save a ton of time instead of us firing our blasters endlessly. But alas, it was not meant to be. But anyway, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tune in for what's coming up next, the Bounty Hunter Remaster. And thank you guys so much for having me.